Do you think your cat loves you? Maybe they're just tolerating you, or worse, maybe they secretly dislike you and you never noticed. But don't worry, your cat won't suddenly scratch you out of nowhere. The signs are much more subtle, and today, you'll discover them all. And there's one sign, in particular, that might prove your cat never actually liked you. So stay with me until the end, because some of these signs are shockingly easy to miss. And the worst part? There's one behavior that 90% of cat owners think is adorable, but in reality, it's a clear sign that your cat wants to stay far away from you. Avoiding eye contact. Have you ever tried looking into your cat's eyes, only for them to immediately look away? It might seem like they're just being indifferent, but in reality, eye contact is a major trust signal for cats. When a cat likes you, they don't just maintain eye contact, they also blink slowly, which is a classic sign of affection. But if they always avoid your gaze or stare at you tensely with dilated pupils, they might actually see you as a threat. Now, tell me, has your cat ever done this to you? If so, it could be a warning sign, but the next behavior is even worse, because in addition to avoiding your gaze, your cat might actually turn their back on you. Turning their back and tail flicking. If your cat often turns their back to you and their tail starts flicking slightly, be careful. Unlike dogs, when a cat moves their tail like this, it's usually a sign of irritation. This means they don't want to interact at that moment or that something is frustrating them. And if they frequently turn their back on you, it could be their way of saying, "I don't want you near me." Now, if their tail is completely still and they seem relaxed, then that could actually be a sign of trust. But if you notice any sharp or erratic tail movements, it's best to give them space and let them be. And speaking of subtle behaviors, the next sign might be an even bigger clue that your cat doesn't trust you, and it even happens while they're sleeping. Sleeping with their back to you. Cats are incredibly cautious when they sleep. They only relax completely when they feel safe and are surrounded by people they trust. If your cat chooses to sleep with their back to you, it could be a sign of trust. But if they always sleep in the farthest corner of the room and never choose to stay near you, it might mean they are actively avoiding any connection. Now, here's an interesting detail. If they sleep close to you, but with their tail curled tightly around their body and their paws tucked in, it means they're still on alert and don't feel completely comfortable. Has your cat ever done this? If so, it could be a sign that they're avoiding you, but what comes next is even more concerning. If your cat growls at you for no apparent reason, it might mean they're not just avoiding you. They actually see you as a threat, growling or making strange noises. Have you ever heard your cat let out a low growl when you get too close? Or maybe an aggressive-sounding meow, as if they're irritated? Domestic cats don't usually growl at someone they feel safe with. This behavior is more common when they're feeling threatened or trying to warn you that they're uncomfortable. If this happens frequently, it's important to pay attention to the context. Your cat might be stressed, in pain, or simply not like the way you interact with them. But if you notice that they growl every time you approach or avoid all attempts at affection, this could be a sign that they genuinely dislike your presence. Now, if you think this is already bad, the next sign is even more obvious, because it means your cat wants to disappear whenever you're around. Avoiding physical contact and running away. You try to pet your cat, but the moment you touch them, they immediately jump away. If this happens often, it could be a strong sign that they don't like your presence. Cats are very selective when it comes to physical affection. Some genuinely dislike being touched too much, but if your cat allows other people to pet them while constantly rejecting you, this could mean they don't trust you or simply don't want to interact with you. Now, if your cat lets you pet them for a few seconds, but then pushes your hand away or even gives you a little bite, that's a clear sign they've reached their limit. By the way, if this video is helping you understand your cat's behavior better, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss more content like this, and you can improve your relationship with your pet. Now, back to the topic. If your cat won't even tolerate your presence near them, the next sign is even more concerning. They completely ignore your voice. Have you ever called your cat by name, spoken to them, and gotten zero reaction? No glance, no tail movement, absolutely nothing. Cats recognize their owner's voice. They may act independent, but the truth is, they know exactly when you're calling them. If they choose to ignore you completely, it could be a sign that they have no interest in interacting with you. Now, if your cat ignores you but responds to other people in the house, this could mean that they simply don't like you as much as they like them. But if you think that's bad, the next sign is even worse, because if your cat destroys your stuff on purpose, they might be sending you a very direct message. Destroying your stuff on purpose. Has your cat ever knocked an object off your desk while looking straight into your eyes? Or scratched up your belongings while completely ignoring everything else in the house? If they only scratch your personal items, like shoes, clothes, or furniture in your room, it could be a sign that they're marking their territory in an unfriendly way. It's as if they're saying, "This space belongs to me, not you." Now, tell me, has your cat ever destroyed something of yours on purpose? If so, maybe it's time to pay closer attention to the other signals they're showing. And if they're already destroying your things, they might also be refusing to eat when you're nearby. Refusing to eat when you're around. Cats only eat when they feel completely safe. If your cat waits for you to leave the room before eating, they might be feeling uneasy around you. This happens because, in the wild, cats must ensure they're safe while eating. If they feel your presence is a threat, they may choose to avoid eating until they're alone. Now, if your cat always does this, it's worth observing. Do they also hide while eating? Do they eat normally when other people are around? If they refuse to eat in your presence, this is a major sign that they don't feel comfortable when you're near them. And that leads us to the final sign, one that many people mistake for affection, but is actually the opposite. Headbutting you, but aggressively. Cats often give gentle headbutts to the people they trust, but if your cat does it with force, pushing against your hand or leg aggressively, this might actually be a sign that they want you to move away. The same goes for when they press their forehead against you for just a second, and then immediately walk away as if nothing happened. Many owners think this is a cute habit, but in reality, it's not a gesture of affection. It's a warning that they want more space. Now that you know all these signs, tell me, how many of them has your cat already shown? If you recognized multiple signs, maybe it's time to rethink your relationship with them. Leave a comment below telling me which of these behaviors you've noticed in your cat, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this.